Live again. What? We do that? Just twice a week. It's fine. Well, welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where the tea is piping hot and we are always ready to spell. I'm Logan Murphy, just a gay.
I'm
here
Livvy Laughlin.
With a brand new special guest.
Hi,
yes,
everybody.
Livvy's here. Oh,
so
my goodness gracious. Livvy, we know each other in real life, which is strange.
We do.
And now we're doing this, which is better.
I know. We actually went to college together like 5-6 years ago now, a long time.
Don't remind me because I'm still in school. But yes. Oh, and we are here discussing Eviction number 3 for Celebrity Big Brother Season 3. Another person, or maybe a couple, have gone home, and the HOH comp just ended, so we're gonna speed through the episode and talk about the HOH.
Yes. Pretty much all that matters at this point.
But yes, honestly, that. But Livvy, what are you thinking about this season so far?
Gosh, it's just so much going on at once. We have so many episodes coming out each week, and honestly, it's been a little boring. Like, we have so much going on, so many people, and you'd think we'd have a bit more content than we're getting. So, I mean, it's always nice to have Big Brother. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to ease us back into it, but I wish we were getting a little bit more, and hopefully after this HOH, we will be.
Oh, I think we will be. This episode, I will say, this is probably my favorite episode of the season so far. Definitely, like, these celebrities are finally bringing drama in some capacity. Which I love to see. There was drama. There was someone going against the HOH's wishes.
We haven't seen in what, years?
Literally years. I'm like, this is everything we've been asking for.
Gosh, I know. I saw a tweet during the episode that was like, who thought Chris Kirkpatrick and Shayna Drops would bring us back to old school Big Brother? And it's the truth, man.
Truly, truly that. It's been wild. We're going to dive into all of it. We don't really have time nor the want to discuss Wednesday's episode, because it was mostly HOH. Yeah, and Misha won again, shockingly. Surprise of the century. And she nominated Carson and Cynthia. Shock of the century.
Hey, she didn't get what she wanted, so we'll take it.
She did not. We dive into this episode. It starts pretty slow, and Misha and Todrick are talking once again. Oh my gosh, we want to take out Carson. It's like, y'all are hyper fixating on this man who has won one competition.
Honestly. And what Carson continues to just want to hang out and have fun. Like, all he really cares about is hanging out and talking to Cynthia all day. Like, I understand that he's a social threat, but you guys are going a little too hard on this.
It's too much at this point. Like, I understand wanting to target someone, but like every single confessional that is being aired is you talking about wanting to target Carson. And it's just like, God help us all. We do find out as well, and this was something we knew earlier in the week. Carson tells Cynthia and Shayna after the nominations that if he wins the veto, he plans on using the veto on Cynthia.
Yeah, I feel like Carson, again, he's shown time and time again, like, he really is here for relationships. And I feel like him saying that just shows it.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. I love Cynthia's comment where she was like, I'm not comfortable with that.
Cynthia is just amazing on this show. And every time like a fire gets lit underneath her, it is iconic.
We'll talk about the fight that broke the internet that came out of nowhere. Oh boy. But this is also the start of where we see Shayna and Chris come up with their plan to sort of go against Misha and Todrick. They're like, if we can get someone else on the block, if one of us can win the veto or something,
right,
then we can finally go against Misha and Todrick, because otherwise they're just going to take everybody out.
100%. I love that they're finally seeing this and willing to take the shot. But at the same time, it's kind of too little too late. Like, everyone was safe last week with you in power. And if you were going to do this move, like, you might as well have done it when you had a little bit of safety and some backup.
And lest we forget, Shayna literally had the veto last eviction and could have used it and could have gotten Todrick out of the game.
It was in the palm of their hands, this giant move that would have changed the game, and they were too scared to make it.
Because apparently Mariah's mental health.
Which is just something that was perpetuated by Teddy with what? Does it have any actual backup? No.
No, because she's an accountability coach.
Yeah. So official.
Mm-hmm. I did see, though, Mariah was on Instagram Live tonight with Hannah, with Azza, with Brittany. Someone else was there. I don't remember. But she was having the time of her life. I popped in for a second because I was like, I got to see this. And she was having the time of her life, hanging out with all of them. And I was like, oh, good. That makes me so happy that at least, like, if she's not in the house still, at least she's, like, in a much better place.
100%. I feel like the house was just, like, not a great place for her, even when she wasn't necessarily being targeted. She just either was being excluded or didn't feel like she fit in, and it was probably for the best for her to get out and live her life.
Yeah, definitely that. We then get, the segment that if you're a live feeder, was coming. We all knew it was coming. Bye, Chris Kattan.
Oh, it was so sad. I mean, he didn't want to be there, so it's okay, I guess, but it was sad. I feel like it could have thrown a wrench in the week, and it kind of did, but...
It did a little bit. I mean, I was not his biggest fan, I'll be honest. Like, anyone who doesn't really, like, do anything in the game, nor, like, at least make an effort to figure out what's happening, i.e. Lamar. We'll talk about Lamar. But people that are just, like, non-factors, at the end of the day, I have a hard time, like, rooting for them in any capacity, regardless of whatever, like, entertainment they're bringing.
100%.
I also didn't grow up with watching him on SNL. So, like, for me, I have because I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, Chris Kattan from SNL. And I was like, I don't have that same background.
Right.
So.
I know. I feel like it's just so rough on this season because at least in the last, like, week or two, and maybe it's about to change, it just feels like so many people don't care to be there. And so you just kind of have to deal with what you're given, and Chris left, and it's probably not going to make that much of a difference in the game long term.
No. I think the only way it would have made any sort of difference is had there been, like, a double. Because if someone like random wins in the double, Chris could easily be like, just send me home, please. Like,
which makes for a boring double. So it's better for us this way.
Yeah, I mean, do we think we're going to get a double, though, is the thing? Because we had a walk. We have another eviction on Monday.
Right. Do you know what day of finale is?
It's Wednesday the 23rd.
I feel like we might get one in there, but it might just be that when they go from, like, 5 to 3.
Well, I feel like, so my theory is, I think that's probably when we're going to get it, because every other finale that we've had for Celebrity, we've had 5 people going into the finale. And the way that they're doing the Monday and Friday eviction cycle, which I will say is a lot smarter than previous schedules. And I greatly appreciate it as someone who's podcasting the show.
Yeah.
Because at least we have a consistent schedule of when we're going live about it. It's Wednesday the 23rd.
I feel like what likely happened is maybe a double was planned for maybe before that 5 to 3, but they probably knew that they were expecting somebody to leave. We see it with both celebrity seasons. Somebody always wants to go or does go. So maybe they were like, we'll plan for a double, and if somebody leaves, then we have some leeway and don't need it.
Right. I feel I definitely feel like if it's going to be the 5-person finale format again, that's when we would get it. Either that or like the last eviction, make it from 6 to 4 or something.
Right.
And then have 4 people going into finale week or finale 2 days. It would be at that point. Yes, Chris, we're happy that you're in a much better spot. I loved Julie just turning to camera and being like, we wish Chris well. And I'm like,
yeah.
Do you?
Do you really? I mean, was it the other day? He doesn't even know where he's at. So
literally that. So yes, bye, Chris. I'm very happy. Well, now we only have one Chris to talk about for the remainder of this episode.
Exactly.
So no more Chris. We'll talk about it.
Honestly.
We get the veto player pick. And obviously it is Misha, Cynthia, and Carson, plus Shayna, Lamar, who was chosen by Cynthia, and Todrick, which leaves Todd and Chris Kirkpatrick not competing, which it really feels like it's the power players and Lamar competing.
100%. I feel like Lamar just always seems to find his way in these positions, and it's crazy. I mean, we continue to see that Lamar has absolutely no idea what's going on. We're on the 3rd eviction cycle, and he still doesn't know what the veto is or how it's played.
It's day 17, and he still has just no clue.
It genuinely makes no sense to me. Like, I would get it maybe the first week, but you've seen this happen. And the veto has been used 2 times in a row. Like,
is this his first veto he's competing in, though? That's the thing.
That's what I'm thinking of. But
I think it is.
What else do you have to do in the house other than pay attention to the competition?
Ask Todrick how the veto works. That's what he has to. And then he fully tells Todrick that he wants to win the veto and use it on Cynthia.
Yeah. Lamar, what are you doing, man?
He has no clue. He has not a clue in the world.
The only names coming out of Misha and Todrick's mouth the entire game is Cynthia and Carson need to leave. And you are apparently working with them.
Apparently he was working with Todrick and Misha, maybe. Does he know who he's working with?
You know, I'm pretty sure Lamar's going to find his way to that final 3, final 4, and it's going to be interesting.
I have a good feeling someone is going to be sitting next to Lamar Odom in the final 2, and he is going to give one of the most iconically horrible final 2 speeches of all time.
Yeah,
and honestly, at this point, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that it's either Carson and Lamar or Cynthia and Lamar, Shayna and Lamar. Any combination of those people would be more than okay in my book. God help us all. Lamar Odom is the gift that just keeps on giving more than Meta World Peace did. And I'm such a big fan.
Yeah, I feel like Lamar really makes up where I feel like Chris Kattan kind of left us hanging, where they do both want to leave. Like, Lamar doesn't really want to be there. It kind of seems like maybe his mind's changing on that as the game seems to be progressing. But, like, at least he's giving us great feeds while he's there, and it's just always so much fun to watch and root for.
Truly, truly that. We get the Veto Comp, which is a classic that we've seen just with a winter twist, called Reindeer Riders. It is the good old rock back and forth on an object. This time it's an animal that makes sense to be rocking back and forth on.
A lot more sense than, bananas.
Banana. I instantly thought of the banana and I was like, oh, what season was that? I don't even remember.
That was All Stars, and they kept editing Enzo on it, like, in slow-mo.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. So I didn't watch much of All Stars, I'm going to be very honest. For obvious reasons. But I just remember the banana, and now I remember Enzo. Oh boy.
They had a lot of fun editing that comp. Too much fun.
I hope they did. But yes, you have to rock back and forth 20 times to unlock 90 seconds to stack snowflakes and lock in with the most snowflakes stacked. All these snowflakes are different shapes as well, which I thought normally they're not like that completely different. These like stacking things that you have to stack in this comp. I liked that there was like a large variety of shapes that we were stacking, so it made it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it seemed like it added a lot more strategy to the game than we've seen in the past. You really had to be like picky with what you decided to use, and a lot of people did not have a very good strategy with that.
A lot of people really did not do well because almost immediately Lamar DNQs and is like, I hate this game. I'm just like, Lamar, you probably had the rules explained to you at least 3 times.
Honestly, given time for questions.
Literally. And then there's a timer for a reason. Yeah. Like, oh, God, help us all. So yes, he DNQs, and then Misha times out.
Right, which is that was surprising to me, seeing her time out there. I mean, it was wonderful to watch, but
yes, was very happy with it. So we're then left with Shayna, Cynthia, Carson, and Todrick in the competition, and Cynthia feels confident in her 9 snowflakes, so she locks in with her 9 snowflakes. And I'm like, good for you, Cynthia. You did something in a comp.
At least you didn't disqualify.
She technically got 2nd place in this veto comp. So good on
job,
you,
Cynthia.
Good on you, love.
She knows when to quit.
absolutely that. And then Shayna locks in with 22.
That is insane that she got that many.
It's Lana in the chat. Hi, Lana.
Hi.
We love Lamar too. We love Lamar.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Truly that.
I don't know if this season would be bearable without Lamar, honestly.
Without Lamar, I would say Lamar and Carson. Because Carson is giving the entertainment that I always want to see.
Carson is like, if they didn't have Carson in the diary room, I feel like the episodes would be so rough. Like every DR that Carson does is just wonderful. And I feel like he really makes every episode.
Absolutely couldn't agree with you more. But yeah, Shayna locks in with her 22 snowflakes. Which I was like, first of all, how did you get 22?
And she was using a lot of the larger pieces.
I was like, oh, okay, cool, sure. And then we have Todrick and we have Carson, and they're going along and they're doing their thing. And then Carson times out. And then Todrick times out.
And that I feel like was the most surprising part is Todrick kind of like knew that this was one of the competitions that he needed if he really wanted Carson to leave. And especially as a fan of the game, I thought he would be a lot more cautious going into that.
Right. Like I think Carson and Todrick both knew that like this was a comp that they needed to win ideally. It worked out in Carson's favor. But yes, Veto Queen, Shayna Moakler, winning her 2nd veto in a row. She really is turning into the player that we have been asking for years.
I know. It's like, I wish that we got her on a normal season, honestly. Like she's playing she's playing hard. Not all of her decisions are the best, but she's really there to play, and it's great to watch.
What Big Brother winner has 100% great moves as well?
True.
But yes, Shayna wins the veto. Very excited about it. We love to see it. And then after the veto comp, Misha is telling her alliance, at this point, Chris, Todd, and Lamar, that she needs a pawn. And Todd is like, yeah, sure, I'll be your pawn. Sure. And I'm like, okay, great. So Chris Kirkpatrick goes to Shayna and tells her this plan that he overheard. And they come up with a plan to use the veto on Carson and get Todd out of the game. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'm here for it. And then Misha talks to Chris.
Wow.
And at this point, for some reason, Misha has it in her mind, and she says so to Shayna during the veto comp. She's like, if you need to use the veto on Cynthia, like, basically, like, I'll allow it. And I'm like,
right. Did you win?
Did you win? The comp's
You're
not even
second,
over.
honey.
Literally, the comp's not even over. Todrick and Carson are still competing. And you're like, if you want to use that, like, I'll allow it. And I'm like, what?
I mean, what Misha has spent 3 days this entire season not being HOH, and it has really gone to her head, and she thinks she runs this house.
Yeah. Very that. Literally
right?
that. And then in this conversation with Chris Kirkpatrick, she is like, well, if Shayna uses a veto on Cynthia, like, I need to have your word that you would still vote Carson out. And Chris, just being a great person, it can't lie to Misha. And is basically just like, we're in an alliance. We have a thing.
And
I'm like,
this is where Chris kind of loses me. He claims to be a fan of this game. This game is all about lying and backstabbing. And then you're going to compare yourself 10 minutes later to making a Dan Giesling moment, but you're not going to lie? The math ain't mathin', Chris. Like, all you have to do is say, yes, I will vote him out. It's
literally, and then conveniently decide later that you're not going to.
And you can use Misha's own line against her. Well, in that moment, I was going to do that.
Right? Literally. Chris.
He really talked himself out of this move. Like, it was basically locked and going to happen, and he really ruined it for himself.
Because then we see Misha asking Shayna if she's using the veto. And Shayna, I love in this moment, is like, in the DR is like, I'm going to do whatever I need to do to win this game. And I'm like, yes, queen.
Yeah, that is why I love Shayna.
Shayna Moakler, the queen we didn't know we deserved, honestly.
Amazing.
And then we go to the veto ceremony, and Shayna uses that veto on Carson. And Misha gets up there, and she is flustered. She does not know what to do. And she puts up Chris Kirkpatrick. And Chris Kirkpatrick has now essentially, in his words, backdoored himself.
It's crazy that it worked out this way. And I mean, I was like the blind side of the season so far. I mean, seeing Misha and Todrick's face when they took down Carson was amazing to see. But I feel like Chris really just kind of walked himself into this place.
Yeah, I'm just happy that they used backdoor properly, because this was a true backdoor.
Right.
Both times this season, I will say that backdoor has been mentioned. It's been used properly. So I don't know if they just don't know better and it's happenstance. But regardless, thank you for using backdoor properly. Because most people don't. So we end up, it is Chris and Cynthia on the block going into the eviction. After the veto ceremony, Misha is incredibly emotional about having to nominate Chris. And then we kind of get Misha versus Shayna a little bit. Misha is like, well, I was just caught off guard. And like, I hope that like we still keep our deal from week 1, because like I've never put you up. And so like I hope that we still have this. And Shayna is just straight up honest with Misha and Todrick and is like, yeah, we're in an alliance, but I don't feel like we're in an alliance. You guys never talk to me. You're off always by yourselves, doing your own thing. So this is the only thing I thought to do because I need allies.
Right. And I feel like good on Shayna for like speaking up and finally being somebody to kind of challenge Misha. Yes. Misha's been like consistently, I feel like, holier than thou over everybody else and thinks her way is the only way to do it. So it's great that we have Shayna finally combating that.
Well, and like Carson and Cynthia have been like indirectly because they've
Right.
been at odds with each other the whole time. But I agree with you. Shayna Moakler is the BB player we didn't know we needed.
And I just want to say Cynthia's like grudge against Misha is also amazing. Like Cynthia I just want to outlash Misha is just wonderful.
I love it. I love every part of it. We then get Julie's good old classic true or false celebrity headline game. It's every season on Celebrity Big Brother. Who did a thing? Kylie Jenner named her son Wolf.
Can't go 2 weeks without the media.
No, they truly cannot. Super Bowl, woo! I forgot that was this weekend.
Honestly, and Carson had the best comeback. Tom Brady retiring. Oh, from that football. Carson, same.
Love Carson Kressley.
Amazing.
And he was also on Drag Race tonight. He was on in prime time twice tonight. I was like, you get it, Carson. You get all that money, honestly. Shayna might have moved above Carson as far as like who I want to win. I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I mean, Carson brings the entertainment factor, and for that, I love him, and I want him to make it far, but I feel like Shayna's really just playing, and that's what I want to see in these games.
I'm concerned, though, by this jury that's starting to shape up. Because...
It seems like the jury is going to take a very like personal stance on it and really who they like more. And so depending on if Shayna gets there, I feel like maybe if she's not against Carson, she might have a chance. But I feel like Carson's going to run away with it if he's in the final two.
I think I would agree with that. But, and then at this point, I was like, Julie hasn't said her classic either Cynthia or Chris will be evicted. And I was like, is it just because of Chris Kattan leaving? Are we just not getting an eviction? Like, is that what's happening? No, we got an eviction. But not before. Oh boy. We're here, Livvy. It's Todd Bridges versus Cynthia Bailey.
Yes, we got a classic Big Brother fight.
And this blew up on feeds yesterday, and I had no clue it had happened. I was like, what is happening today? What is this? I'm confused.
Right. And I didn't see this on feeds, but from what I've heard, I think they were cutting a lot or not really focusing on it. And so I wasn't super sure it was going to get included in the episode, but it did. And I feel like I'm glad they did.
So I went back and watched the feeds because I was curious because I also didn't watch it live. So the view that they had on feeds was of Shayna and Chris listening to the fight happening in the kitchen. And then I believe we saw Cynthia walking into the back bedroom, Carson following her, and then feeds cut. And then the next thing we hear is Carson defending Cynthia to Todd.
Right.
And this whole thing went down because Todd was saying that he wasn't going to vote to keep Cynthia because Cynthia didn't vote to keep him in week 1 when her ally was on the block, and she has had no game relationship with him at all, which I think is completely valid. And then Cynthia goes to Todd in the kitchen and it just is straight up like, are we like, what's happening, basically?
Right.
And Todd ends up saying that his word is more than Cynthia's. It's a whole mess. Cynthia starts yelling. Todd starts yelling, getting in her face a little bit, which for me was not cute. I don't necessarily think either one of them looked super great in this, nor do I really think Carson looked super great in this. I appreciate that he was defending Cynthia, but I don't think anyone came out of this fight looking particularly good.
No, I think it's clear that, especially getting to watch it back now, it seems like everybody was just kind of in the wrong. It was definitely a heated moment. I feel like Cynthia coming back didn't do her any favors. Todd getting up didn't do him any favors. Just all around. I mean, even Carson, like, continually trying to defend her when it seemed like he maybe didn't have the entire story as Lamar was backing up Todd. So
And Lamar antagonizing the whole situation.
It was so much more intense, I feel, because of Lamar, like doing the clapping. And then after the big blow up, you see Lamar kind of hiding a laugh. It was just a lot.
I'm just like, what is happening on this day today? What is this? Like, oh God.
Yeah, I would see Shayna like running up and hiding and watching what's going on. Like, everybody runs to the kitchen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, truly that. Like you said, a classic Big Brother fight. Like it gave me a little bit of Anybody Want Cake, honestly.
Todd v. Cynthia.
Like Todd v. Cynthia, yes. And for another thing. That's what we'll call this fight. And for another thing.
Oh my gosh. And then when Cynthia goes in the room, like she talks to Misha and Todrick and like gives a big speech, walks in the room, and Carson just goes, She's fine.
I loved it.
Amazing.
I loved every single moment of it.
That was so relatable. It's fine. Don't worry about her.
She's fine. She's fine.
I
loved it. So we got the eviction speeches. It's platitudes from both of them. Thanks, CBS. Hi, family. I love you. Yada, yada, yada. This, that, and the third. And see, I hadn't been paying attention to the feeds all that much. So I genuinely didn't know who was going home. I was confused. I was unsure as to who was getting evicted. And then subsequently, by a vote of 5-0, we lose Chris Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, and notably, Shayna voting to evict him without Chris even knowing.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I love to see from her. I feel like it shows she's playing the game and she's not going to put herself on the out on purpose.
Yeah. I truly, honestly thought it was going to be a 3-2 with Shayna and Todd voting to evict Cynthia. I thought it, for me, just having not really been all attuned to feeds as much in the last couple days, just because I've been busy, I thought it would have been a closer vote. And even Chris says it in his exit interview, like, I'm kind of surprised by Shayna, but also she has to keep her standing in the game, so I understand.
Yeah, and I think if Misha wasn't in the game, it maybe would have been a closer vote, but I feel like Todd just does whatever Misha says, and that's why we saw the vote go this way.
Probably, because whatever.
I don't know what power Misha has over these men. Like, honestly, all of them, Chris, like, even Chris until, like, a couple days ago, even Chris today was, like, apologizing for being so paranoid about Todrick and Misha. I was like, I do not know what she's got going that everybody needs to fall in place for her, but it's crazy.
Well, Chris Kirkpatrick was a little bit more understandable because he was like, I'm a huge fan of hers.
Yeah.
So that one made a lot more sense. Todd and Lamar don't really make all that much sense, nor do I really think either one of them is truly playing the game. And
well,
so
it does seem like Lamar is kind of starting to break off on his own and like working with other people. And it seems like he might actually be willing to get Misha out. I know him and Todd were having conversations, Todd wanting to get out Shayna and Lamar wanting to get out Misha. So that'll be interesting.
That'll be really interesting. If one of them somehow ends up with some sort of power, we'll see. But bye, Chris. We lose both the Chris's in 2 days.
I know, 2-0 in 2 hours of an episode.
Literally. And I think it's like 36 hours total in the house because Catan walked yesterday, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, for Chris Kirkpatrick, like at the beginning there, he was a little bit like we weren't his biggest fans. But coming around this week, I feel like he really made up for it, trying to make a big move. I mean, he kind of knew that I was going to put him in a risky position, and he was like, this is Big Brother. I want to have fun. I'm just going to go for it. And I appreciate it.
I love that. Like, if Lana were here, she would be singing his praises because she is the world's biggest NSYNC fan. So regardless, like she's been supporting him from the jump. I was skeptical at the start of the season. He's come around for me. I appreciate him playing big, even though it meant his demise. Thank you, Chris Kirkpatrick, because you kind of shook up the whole game.
Really did.
And I'm excited for this last like week and a half that we've got because I think it's going to be incredibly dynamic in the house now that we have both of the Chris's gone. We then move on. It is the HOH competition. It was on feeds. We're here. We've made it. It's the Wall Comp.
Crazy. The best comp.
The single best comp. I love the Wall Comp. It was also the world's quietest Wall Comp at the start.
Right. How upset do we think Misha is for not getting to play in the Wall Comp?
Oh, Misha is fuming. We're going to get multiple confessionals from Misha in Sunday's episode.
This was my comp.
Then you shouldn't have won the last HOH, girl.
I'm expecting like 5 confessionals at least.
Absolutely. 100%. And then I love Julie closing the show. And I think it was Shayna, that's just yelling in the background, that hit me in the vagina.
Well, and Julie, I feel like, so they shot out the powder, I guess, before the episode had come back on them. And so Julie had no idea what she was even saying.
Yep.
And was trying to be like, actually, I think, never mind. And they just didn't have time to cut Shayna out.
Literally. So entertaining. We love live television.
Honestly.
But yes, so that was the episode. We are going to dive into live feed updates. So it is time for tea time. If you do not want live feed spoilers on who the next HOH is, please go now. Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye. Okay, you've been warned. So we did get the Wall Comp on feeds despite 7 million feeds outages.
A ton.
I'm so happy I don't pay for Paramount Plus and my roommate does. It's one of those.
It's really not worth it right now.
No. Well, he has it for other stuff too. I just conveniently use it for Big Brother. But like he has it for Drag Race. Like he has that and Hulu and all that. I have like the Wow Presents Plus and like the other subscriptions. So it balances out. It's lovely. But yes, we come back after a long feed outage after the episode ends on the East Coast, and everyone's still on the wall.
I was shocked by that.
Me
Usually
too.
Somebody drops within like 3 minutes.
Speaking of people that drop in 3 minutes, we forgot to mention Todrick in the voting, e-voting.
That was it seemed extremely intentional to me.
It was absolutely intentional.
Yeah, and for you to have half of the Big Brother 23 cast living in your house, of all the players you choose to quote, you choose Big D. What?
Okay, sure.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, it was 100% intentional, and I was just like, what is happening here? Why are we doing this today on this day?
I mean, he really could have quoted like Tiffany, Hannah, even Xavier, and gotten maybe a few more fans because he's sorely lacking right now, and he chose the most hated member of the cookout.
I would have said the most hated person from BB23, but that's not true.
True.
Oh, the French onion soup. Oh, the French onion soup. I loved BB23 season because we used any other word to describe that man.
Oh, it was so much fun getting creative.
French Revolution was my favorite.
Yeah, French toast.
French toast, French onion soup, French baguette, French tip manicure, all of it. Just
the only thing we missed about Frenchie was the names.
I hate that you even said his name, but it's fine.
I know.
It's fine. But I
couldn't think of another one.
Oh God. French toast. Did we do French toast?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot, but it's hard on the spot.
The French and Indian War.
There you go.
Sure. All the things. But yes, we come back. Everybody's on the wall, but not for long, because at 7:14 BB time, Lamar, followed shortly by Cynthia, both drop from the wall. Neither one of these I was super surprised by. These comps are not built for tall people, as we've seen time and time again. So Lamar dropping first, I really was not surprised. And unfortunately, Miss Cynthia Bailey has not proven herself to be a comp threat. So I was not surprised when she dropped either.
Yeah, I feel like for the first two people to drop, it makes sense.
And then we had 30 minutes of no one dropping.
It's crazy. I was really impressed with everybody up there, honestly. There's a couple people that I feel like you'd expect to do well with Shayna and Todrick.
Yes.
And even maybe Carson, but I was really impressed with Todd staying up.
I was too. I didn't want him to win necessarily because Cynthia would have been his target, and I don't want 100%. That. It probably would have been Cynthia and Carson, or Cynthia and Shayna, because it's not like we only have 3 women left in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that today, and then I was like, oh wait, there's only 4 men because there's only 7 people left.
It's insane. We're already at 7 people. We went down so quickly.
It's because of Chris Kattan walking.
That's true.
That's truly what did it. But yes, so we go a whole 30 minutes without anyone dropping. And then finally at 7:45 BB time, we have Todd drop from the competition. Not surprised. I was really happy to see it. He made it, I think, 50 minutes, which was incredible. Yeah. And then after Todd at 7:49 BB time, Shayna drops.
And that was a surprising one. I really thought it was going to come down to Shayna and Todrick. And when she dropped, I was like, it's over.
I was like, it's over.
Likely getting Todrick, and it's going to be a repeat week, and turn off the feeds now.
Yep. I'm not even going to bother to watch. It is what it is. Oh boy. And then it was the battle to end all battles. And then Livvy and I got in the studio today, literally
happy dancing.
Happy dancing because the HOH had just ended. Spoiler if you don't want to know the new HOH. It's Carson Kressley! Oh, thank you, jeez.
Almost gone too soon. We are now guaranteed another cycle of Carson Kressley.
We're guaranteed 3 days.
I love it.
But still.
And I feel like it's even better because it's between the one-sided feud with Todrick and Carson, and Carson's prevails.
Yep. Carson has won his second competition. There are only 3 people that have won competitions thus far, and it's Shayna, Misha, and Carson.
It's crazy. I mean, hoping Misha doesn't get a veto win here because it's wild.
I mean, I think we know where the noms are going to go. It's going to be some combination of Todrick, Misha, and Todd.
Yeah, and I feel like the one thing that does concern me about Carson winning is Carson does know Todrick outside of the game, and while Todrick seems to be taking things a little bit maybe personally and like really being against Carson, I don't know if Carson feels that same way, and so I think we might see Misha Todd nominations here.
I think that's the most likely combination. I would agree with you. Because even in the competition, Carson was like, you got it, Toddy. Like, was like rooting for Todrick, obviously wanting to win himself because it was kind of do or die at that point. And he knows that.
Yeah, and I think for sure, again, I feel like Carson really is here to make like friendships. And so while he does want to play and he does want to win, I don't think he wants to do anything that's going to jeopardize his outside relationship with Todrick. I'm hoping that maybe Shayna can get in his head and be like, don't be stupid, nominate them both. But I don't know, we'll see.
Well, I mean, if it does end up with Misha and Todd, if Misha and Todd are final noms, Misha goes. Because it would be at worst, it would be a 2-2 with Carson breaking the vote to evict Misha. That would be worst case scenario if Lamar doesn't vote to keep Todd, which I think he would.
Yeah, but the scariest thing I think is there's only 7 people left, 6 play in veto. If Todrick wins and takes Misha down, that's worse.
Which is why I'm hoping and praying that that Shayna does get in Carson's head, or Carson already knows. I haven't seen if feeds are back, so I don't know what's happening at the moment. But I'm hopeful that he just straight puts up Todrick and Misha to guarantee one of them goes.
I know. It's like the first time I'm actually excited to go watch feeds. See what's going to happen.
Oh, we've got another cycle with Carson. We've got Cynthia safe. We've got Shayna safe. And that hasn't happened yet, and it makes me real happy.
Yeah, and I was thinking this before the HOH even happened, but I feel like after Shayna did pull down Carson with that veto, there was a lot of leftover tension in the house. And it really does seem like we kind of have a 3-3 split house with Lamar just kind of floating in the middle.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was really going to depend on this HOH. And with Carson winning, I feel like this really sets up a fun end of the season. And hopefully we'll kind of keep that back and forth going rather than it being the Misha and Todrick show for the next week and a half.
Right. As long as it's back and forth, honestly, I'm cool if it's back and forth. And if my faves go, my faves go. But this is the kind of Big Brother that I want to see. There's finally a true power shift. We're getting real gameplay, hopefully, out of Carson. I think Carson is smart enough and knows the game enough and was taught enough of the game by Ross Matthews to know what he needs to do in this moment.
And this is kind of Carson's first opportunity to really get to play the game. For a lot of the time, he's either been on the block or not really had any power. So I'm hoping him and Cynthia both kind of having this power really puts some fire in them and sets them up to want to keep playing.
I agree completely. Well, we will know, live feeders will know very shortly tomorrow because everything's happening tomorrow. Or no, not everything's happening tomorrow. I think it's just noms tomorrow. And then on Monday, Sunday we'll see the HOH and the noms. And then Monday it's a live veto again. Okay. I don't necessarily know how much I love the live veto.
Yeah, I feel like if they were going to do these 2-hour episodes, it kind of makes more sense to do nomination and veto together. I feel like the majority of the gameplay kind of comes after that veto competition and really finding out who's going to go home. And honestly, these 2-hour episodes on Friday with everything happen just kind of seems like a lot being thrown at us at once.
And then it ends up being a lot of nothing, whereas then I feel like Monday's episode is incredibly rushed. And then it's like, right. Are we getting everything? I think they've done a pretty decent job of showing a lot of what's happening. Again, like you said earlier, I was really surprised to see the Todd and Cynthia fight on the show. I think just because it made national headlines that I think they kind of had to. Because I don't know if it had made because I think it made TMZ headlines or something. Okay. And if it hadn't, I don't know if we necessarily would have seen it.
Yeah, and I think the editors, specifically the producers, are kind of benefiting from this cast being a little bit not as aggressive in their gameplay. There's a lot of sitting around and not talking, so a lot does get in the episodes because there's not really that much else going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've seen pretty well edited episodes compared to past seasons for sure.
I would agree. I definitely would agree. And that's kind of how it goes with the celebrity seasons. Season 1 was a little bit different because obviously it was the house versus Omarosa, but also the house wanting to get all the information out of Omarosa. And then season 2 just between, Tom Green, Tamar Braxton, Candy Burris providing the entertainment, Dina Lohan not knowing where she was, and then somehow getting to the finals. All of the mess of that season. It is... Right. Honestly, it is nice to have a more laid back Big Brother season, but now I'm finally at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be excited to go live and talk about Celebrity Big Brother. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that'd be perfect timing too for now for it to get exciting because there's only a week and a half left. Yep. Really to kind of speed through this last week and a half, really diving into it, I feel like would be great right now.
Yeah. So we know Sunday will be the HOH competition on the show as well as nominations. Monday will be the live veto meeting and 4th eviction, with then I believe Wednesday's episode being the next HOH cycle and the nominations. Friday being the 2-hour episode, 5th eviction. We then go do it all again. The following Monday will be the last eviction for the finale, assuming perhaps... I'm assuming. And then Wednesday the 23rd is the finale. So we only have 5 more episodes.
I mean, it's really been going by quick. I mean, I know we only started with 11, but the fact that we're already at 7 and we're going to be done in a week and a half, it's going to be over soon. And then moving on to Canada.
Oh, God. I'm so excited for BB Can. I cannot wait for BB Can. I'm hoping I know someone on Big Brother Canada with how many people I know that have applied. So we're praying for that. But yeah, that was eviction number 3. We did it. Livvy, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been so much fun.
Absolutely. Now at this point, who's your winner pick?
I think I'm gonna go in on Shayna. She can make it there.
I think I am too. I
feel like I really think her and Carson have the best chance, but I don't know if Carson's gonna make it there with Todrick's grudge.
Unless Toddrick goes this week. I think that's the only way that. And even then, if they have the choice of Misha or Toddrick, get Misha out because she's the one that can win comps. So
which it's kind of interesting because if it is Misha versus Carson, we might see a split vote with like Todd and Lamar potentially wanting to keep Misha.
Yeah.
I feel like Lamar would. No, I don't know. I feel like Lamar would vote out Misha, but you never know if him and Todd want to stick together on that.
You never know. I mean, I think at the worst it would be a 2-2 with Carson splitting the vote, splitting the tie in whatever way he wanted. So.
That'd be great if we got a tie vote. I'm hoping for that.
I would love a tie vote with Carson evicting Misha. That would just be because it would be entertainment. It would be comedy gold. It would be all the great things. But
I know. Think of how many diary rooms we're gonna get with Carson this week.
I'm so excited.
Not in power.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yes.
Great.
Yes, but that's what we think about the 3rd eviction of Celebrity Big Brother Season 3. But what do y'all think? Let us know if you're watching after the fact or in the chat or whatever. Let us know. Follow us all on Twitter at @the_reality. Follow Livvy because she's a beautiful soul who will probably be back eventually for more Big Brother things. And with that, we always end with a good old cheers. So Livvy, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye now. Goodbye. Bye-bye.